Like its arch-rival Rolex, Omega has a number of iconic models in its robust catalog of watches. From the Speedmaster to the Seamaster Professional Diver to the Constellation, the BOBN brand is hardly lacking for name recognition in the space, and within recent years the Seamaster Aqua Terra 150 has joined those ranks to become one of Omega's signature watches. First introduced 20 years ago in 2002, the Aqua Terra has gone through a number of distinct generations in its lifetime, quickly gaining a reputation as one of the best go-anywhere do-anything watches on the market. The latest edition arrived in March of 2022. Does it still hold up as one of the industry's finest everyday watches? Let's find out. The most striking thing about seeing the new Aqua Terra in person is, well, just how striking it is. This is a seriously sharp-looking watch. While it's generally understood that the Aqua Terra is meant to be a direct competitor with Rolex's everyday watches like the Oyster Perpetual and Explorer, it feels like it's on another level compared to those watches. It's flashier, it's more detailed, and it's meant to leave you impressed. And boy does it. From the shark tooth-like indices to that distinctive arrow handset to the trademark Omega twisted lugs, the Aqua Terra has something to catch your attention everywhere you look. The attention to detail Omega has employed when designing and crafting this watch is evident, and it's what we like to see in a luxury item that retails for $6,000. Wearing the watch is also a joy. The size is just about perfect for every wrist, with the case measuring 38mm across, a thickness of 12mm, and a short lug-to-lug of 45mm. That keeps the watch compact on the wrist. It's well proportioned and comfortable, further aided by the silky smooth bracelet. At first blush, it's hard not to be smitten with the new Aqua Terra. Omega has long been known for its great casework, with the brand traditionally employing multiple finishing techniques that transition from one to another in very interesting ways. And we're happy to report that the Seamaster Aqua Terra continues this tradition, but in some unexpected ways. Surrounding the slightly domed and anti-reflective coated sapphire crystal is a fixed steel bezel that slopes down to the outside of the case and boasts a pristine mirror polish finish. The lugs are Omega's trademark twisted lyre style, but with, pardon our pun, a twist. Rather than going with a brushed inner surface and polished outer surface on the lugs like we've seen on the Seamaster Diver and Speedmaster for decades, Omega has implemented a mirror polish finish on both sides of the lugs, but rather than blending together, the twisted nature is still evident thanks to slight differences in their finish. The result is a highly dynamic set of lugs. Moving on to the rest of the case, we again find a mirror polish finish everywhere we look. There are no brush surfaces anywhere on this case. However, it still manages to boast sharp transitions between each different element, thanks to slight variations in the finishing. Overall, the case is exemplary of Omega's impressive finishing prowess. Moving on to the case back, fans of the brand's modern master chronometer Seamasters will be greeted with a familiar sight. Surrounding a sapphire exhibition window is a decorative wave pattern ring, while underneath sits the Dress to the Nines coaxial master chronometer caliber 8800 movement. Finally, there's the size of the case. As we mentioned, it's just about perfect. 38mm wide by 12mm thick by 45mm long won't find you many complaints from watch enthusiasts, as it's a size that's going to look good and wear comfortably on just about anyone. One potential gripe, however, is with the lug width. At 19mm, finding third-party straps will be trickier than if the lugs were a more standard width of 18 or 20. However, doing so would throw off the watch's near-perfect symmetry, so we'll happily take fewer strap options if it means we get a better-looking watch at the end of the day. While the case is an impressive piece of craftsmanship, the dial of the Aqua Terra is the true star of the show. The handset should be familiar to anyone who knows the line, as it's remained largely consistent throughout the watch's 2-decade run. The hour hand looks like a Dauphine-style hand with its tip chopped off. The minute hand tapers before ending in a playful arrowhead, and the seconds hand is capped with another arrowhead, this one sporting a long tip that reaches all the way to the minute track and is akin to the chronograph seconds hand on a Speedmaster. All hands are beautifully finished, with the faceted seconds hand being fully polished and the other hand sporting fine brushing down the center and high polished edges. This finishing technique is replicated on the sky-high applied indices, which are brushed on top with a facet down the middle and mirror polish on the sides. All of this results in a considerable light show on the wrist, one that's even aided further by the vertically brushed applied Omega logo that sits under the 12 o'clock. This generation of Aqua Terra is known for its brilliant color options that include more daring choices like saffron and terracotta. Our Atlantic Blue reference is probably the best option for a daily wear piece if you like to fly under the radar just a bit, but it's still pretty eye-catching, thanks to its lacquered and sunbrushed dial. And while we do miss the teak dial design that has defined the Aqua Terra since the watch's second gen, the clean new dials are plenty attractive. Rounding out the dial is the lume, which like other Seamasters doesn't disappoint. It's present on all 30 hands and on every index except for the 6 o'clock, and it glows bright and lasts long. Speaking of that 6 o'clock index, that's the one thing we change about the dial. While we have no problem with the date window taking the place of the index, we'd like to see it better implemented. With everything else on the watch so well thought out and detailed, having a plain cutout with a white background feels like an afterthought. The date window should at least have a frame to better match the rest of the dial. The bracelet for the 2022 Seamaster Aqua Terra is brand new, and we love it, except for one aspect. But first the good. The bracelet is supremely comfortable. It's a 3-link design composed of compact rounded links that form an oval shape from the side, and the bracelet is smooth and flowy and easily conforms to your wrist. You hardly notice you're wearing the watch when it's on. It also looks great. With brushed outer links, the only brushed surfaces on the watch, and mirror polished center links, the bracelet perfectly toes the line between dressy and sporty, with its overall design falling somewhere between a Rolex President bracelet and what you'd find on a Speedmaster. There is one aspect of the bracelet that we'd love to see changed, however, and that's the clasp. Like previous Aqua Terras, the new version has a butterfly clasp, and we were really hoping Omega would change things up this time. A standard folding clasp would have been much easier to operate while also likely providing some adjustability, something that the butterfly clasp lacks entirely. And even as far as butterfly clasps go, this one isn't the easiest to use. On one side of the clasp, the one with the logo, always having to be folded down first, and the mechanism tends to stick a bit when trying to remove the watch. It certainly seems sturdy enough, but we'd like to not pay such close attention to our clasp when putting on and taking off the watch. Like all modern Omegas, the movement inside the Aqua Terra is a crazy impressive machine. The in-house caliber 8800 runs on Omega's exclusive coaxial escapement and boasts master chronometer certification from Metis. This means that, among other things, the watch has a COSC beating precision rate of 0 to plus 6 seconds per day, more stringent testing of its 150 meter water resistance, a shock resistance of 5000 Gs, a 55-hour power reserve, and a magnetic resistance up to 15,000 Gauss, a number that few watches in the industry even come close to. In addition to its category-leading performance, the Aqua Terra's movement also looks outstanding. It's clear when looking through the exhibition caseback at the movement's Geneva waves and arabesque and trademark red printing that this is a serious luxury watch. With this latest refresh of the Seamaster Aqua Terra, Omega has taken what was already perhaps the best everyday luxury watch on the market and made it even better. From its perfect proportions to its finishing to its next level specs, there's not a ton of room here for error. Sure, we'd like to have seen a better clasp and perhaps the return of the teak dial in the future, but as it stands, this is still the best everyday watch on the market.